hands up, and I'm going to speak, you know, in a story format, more or less, talking about momentum, talking about growth, talking about impact. So the ninth dialogue, the T9D community is a classical example of momentum, of impact, of growth. And do you need me to do something? Okay. So now, when we started the ninth dialogue, I just shared the idea with a few people. I said, oh, I wanted to have a few people come close and let's have this meeting, discuss, because this is basically what I've had the passion for. Conversations, not necessarily something like call a crowd, just a few people have small productive conversation, and then as we saw it, it was so productive on that day, and we desired for more, which gave rise to this. One thing I've understood from years of business, years of engagement, is the fact that conversations are powerful. Yes, conversations are powerful, but you know, conversations alone don't change lives, right? So conversations alone don't change lives. This is how the T9D community was born. And one thing again that I want to mention is the fact that just having the community is not enough, right? Because most of us have seen cases of opening WhatsApp groups and nothing is going on there. And we saw a classical example of this play out between October, November, and December. Even this January, there was nothing going on in the WhatsApp group, right? So I understood the dynamics of conversations and the dynamics of having something work. So that is why we decided to, first of all, we have the leadership stage where we organized and structured the leadership, and then we decided, oh, we are going to be having monthly summits. So this is going to keep the momentum alive. This is going to keep the push, keep the activities going on in the group. And so this is why we have the T9D community. Then, of course, we have a purpose, we have a passion, we have direction, right? So what then is momentum? Momentum simply means, in a layman's understanding, you could call it movement. Now, in movement, there is speed, and you could move at a slower pace. So it depends on how you want to move. But one thing that is consistent, one thing that is paramount to momentum is consistency. So when you rush the process, there is momentum, but you can't really guarantee consistency. So that is why there is a need for proper planning, proper structuring in whatever that you are doing, in whatever business that you are doing. I am very big on research. So I am the kind of person that if I have an idea, I can wait for 5-6 years to execute that idea. Why wait for so long? Wait for so long depending on the idea, depending on what it's going to take, depending on what it is going to take to succeed, not just to start it. Because it is easy to start something, but more difficult to maintain the momentum. You understand? So that's why it's going to take a longer time for me to do a thing. So momentum is good, but structure is more important than the momentum, because without proper structure, you're going to lose that momentum and probably lose consistency. Okay, so structure gives you clarity. So when you have a structure, you know what you are up against, you know what you are going into, you know what you want to achieve, right? So structure gives clarity. If there's no structure, let's say you have 100K and you want to buy some goods, some commodities, and you want to sell. Some people take such decisions just because they have money in their hands, but that is wrong. Now here's my personal policy, and I've shared it with some people. If I have 100,000 naira, I am not going to invest 100,000 naira in a business. I am going to invest something like 10,000 naira or 15,000 naira in that business. Let me tell you why. Am I afraid of investing the whole 100 into the business? No. But why am I going to invest so little into the business? The reason is this. Why I invest so little is that I can monitor the growth. I can measure the growth, right? So as I am measuring the growth, I am growing bigger. I am going forward. I am understanding the dynamics. I am understanding the processes. I am understanding what makes it work. And thereby, I understand what I need to do, when I get to a certain point, unlike starting with a whole 100K, right? Okay. So, now, let's talk about, let me share a story. I now have very limited time to talk. So the T9D community, and this story is where I'll draw the curtain in my presentation. So why I started the T9D community, or that's not why I started. Why I had a T9D meeting was because I wrote a book called Business on a Budget. Start small. Start small. Build like a pro. And it took me a couple of years to actually write that book. I didn't just emerge and write that book. And one of the reasons I wrote that book is not to garner sales, like Imago said I'm an author, I'm selling books. No. I wrote it because let me tell you why I wrote it. It's also the reason why I started my company. So I discovered that people will always call me and they will tell me, Arthur, you're very smart, a very good guy. Come, let us do this project. Come, let us do that project. And I did that for a couple of years. And I discovered that these guys, they would call me, we'll do a project, and they will say all manner of good things about me, but they will not pay me my worth. And so I said, no, I'm not going to do that again. So I took all of my expertise and put it in Donato Solutions. Fast forward, so if you're going to engage me, you engage the company, I charge you. If you're ready to pay, good. If you're not ready to pay, you go your way, I go my way. Now I wrote my book. The reason why I wrote my book is this. So I've had people also come up to me and ask me for business, how do we do this, how do we do that? And most times it's tiring. And here's what I discovered too. Free information, free advice is not always valued. So I've given a lot of free advice from a place, from rigorous training, like from resources that I paid for, from experiences that I learned the hard way. But I saw people treat it trivially, like it's nothing. So I said, okay, I'm going to put all this knowledge in a book. Now, Business on a Budget is not your typical business book. That is how some people say it, but that's by the way. So I put it in a book. So when people say, Arthur, can we talk about business? I recommend the book to them. I say, go and get the book. If you're interested, let me know. I'll send it to you. So one of the things I did is we passworded the book. Because it's in a PDF form, we'll give it to you with a password. By the time you want to read it, you enter your password. If you go out to check WhatsApp and come back, it will ask you for password. The reason is this. You have to be interested enough in that knowledge to go for it. I think I have somebody here who said that her father has read that book for up to 5 times repeatedly, because I gave the person the printed copy. So you have to be hungry enough for that knowledge. So that's why I said, as a 1-year anniversary of that, let me have the 9th dialogue. And I'm not by this marketing the book, right? I'm not trying to sell book to you. So, but if you're interested in that book, I will give you a copy, a passworded copy. Okay. I have a few more minutes. So let me give you, now this is the chapter 1 of the book. It's called Simplifying Your Big Idea. So T9D Community, T9D Dialogue, if you've paid very close attention, you'll discover that what we are doing is something that can grow big. Like if you want T9D to be big now, immediately you can make it so. But I've understood the power of momentum and consistency over the years. So I took that big idea, I sliced it into tiny doable parts. So as it is progressing consistently, it is gathering momentum, it is gathering strength. And of course, you don't do something like this without people, right? So if you want to engage people for something big, you have to go and bring up millions. And that's why people spend millions of dollars, millions of naira to do one big event. And at the end of the day, it's just social media trends, no real life impact, right? So let me give you a story. Now this is a story, a fictitious story in my book. Let's call there's an entrepreneur called Danny. So the vision of Danny is to become one of the top shoemaker brands in the country. Danny has studied the market to find out that there is high demand for footwear, customized footwear. Danny is also a skilled shoemaker, but now wants to get into the business and build a big brand. His original plan is to rent a workspace where the shoes will be manufactured. This workspace will also serve as Danny's showroom. So factory and showroom together. That's his plan. Danny also plans to register the brand and develop its brand identity. Danny plans to start up the business with about 100 handcrafted indigenous footwear from his workshop. So he wants to start his brand by producing 100 indigenous footwears from his workshop. So everything that Danny plans to do will cost a total of 5 million naira. So this is the cost of his plan. But unfortunately, Danny does not have this money, and all his attempts to raise this money has proven futile. So he has failed. He went for investors, nobody invested in it. He needs 5 million, but he doesn't have the money. Okay. So what do you think Danny should do at this point? Should he abandon the idea? Should he give up? Should he look for a job and take salaries while trying to save up 5 million naira, or find a way to start small? All right? Okay. So Danny can decide. Now here's my own suggestion. Danny can decide to take either of 3 options. So I'm going to give 3 options here. Danny can decide to take either of the 3 options. So the 3 options here is, number 1, drop the idea, look for a job, take salaries and save up to 5 million, right? While the third one is to find a way to start small. Remember, he's looking for 5 million to start his shoemaking business. So he can take either of the 3. But the outcome, now the 3 options, but for the purposes of this book, the outcome we will consider is the third one, starting small. That is the theme of the book. Start small, build like a pro. So what do you think? What do you do to a big idea when you want to start small? When you have a big idea, what do you do to it to start small? When you want to start small, you simplify it by breaking that idea into smaller parts that you can accomplish at the time. And as you do these smaller parts, it will over time come together into the whole that you have initially envisioned. You are starting small but building like a professional. So what Danny can do is very simple. Danny, because I didn't go into that one, I did because I limited what I did in the book so that I can reserve some knowledge for you. Don't teach everything you know now. So here's what Danny can do. Danny has the skill to do shoes. So Danny needs to, first of all, leverage on his skills to make shoes. So he can get few materials or start marketing himself. The first thing he can do is to brand himself. Don't even go for the shoe yet. Create a brand. It doesn't cost much to create a brand. You have the skill. So your brand is not a false brand. You are not lying about your brand. All right? So create the brand. Say that you can do shoes. You can even start marketing already made shoes. But you know where you're going to. You know that it is making shoes that you want to do. So as you are doing this, you are into the business of shoes. Start finding ways to make your own shoes or partner with a shoemaker. There are already existing shoemakers. Go partner with a shoemaker. You already bring so much to the table, which is your skill. Partner with the person. And as you're doing it, produce your own products, right? Now, some people will say, partner with somebody that will not allow you to express yourself. That's to do your own product. Now, as you're doing it, have your own side gig, right? So for me, Tunatos is working. I also have a job that I do somewhere else in Anambra State. This is me as Arthur. I receive my salaries to my own personal account. So do your own, have times that, so when you close from work, you have not actually closed from work. So you can start by producing one shoe. When you successfully produce one shoe, get it to a customer. Let the customer look at it. If the customer buys it, you've made one sale. Now, the idea behind all of this is you are starting small. But starting small doesn't mean that you have to be hungry, right? So you're leveraging your skill as well. You are showcasing yourself as somebody who is knowledgeable in the business of shoes. Do you understand? So the first, now this is conclusively now. This is in conclusion because my time is already up. The first level of every business is knowledge and skill. Not your shop, not your sewing machine or your shoemaking machine or your sandpaper or whatever it is, or your phone or your laptop. It is the knowledge. That's the first point of call. So what people are actually going for, aside the skill, is knowledge. And it is that knowledge that informs the skill, right? So you can't really have a good skill without proper knowledge. So start letting people know that you have this knowledge. Finally, many people know me as many different things, but actually, I only know myself as a business development consultant. It doesn't matter, people know me as a media person, people know me as different things, but business development consultant, that's what people know me as. But guess what I'm doing? It may not be so popular now, but I've written a book. And in my book, I have 3 business professionals. 2 are Harvard Business School graduates. 1 is a Lagos Business School lecturer, certified the book. I'm not selling it yet, right? I'm not popularizing it, but I've laid a solid foundation for that career going forward, because that is where I am moving my career to. So I want to be a big business developer. I want big companies to call me, but at this stage, at this point in time, they may not, because probably I'm not in Abuja, I'm not in Lagos. I've decided to stay in Anambra State. So this is how I am doing my own starting small, and I'm building like a professional. So momentum, impact, growth is not something that happens in a moment. It is something that happens with a careful, meticulous application of processes that all come together at a certain point in time to make the whole. And the beautiful thing about it is that when you get to that point, nothing takes you unawares again. You are no longer coming from a place, you are not gaining experience again, you are coming from experience. So thank you so much.